Jesse, we're back today with another episode. We're talking about models. Models will make or break your brand. That is what we're saying. We believe in that, and we're going to talk about it today. The importance of selecting the right models is paramount. It is the visual representation of your brand, Jesse. What do you think?
Yeah, all the greatest brands in the world do it to a T. You know, think about your favorite brand in your head and look at who they model, and they don't really miss there. So there's a reason. And I think models are the number one strategy to go beyond your garment, to create a story that tells more than just your design or your silhouette. So they are really fucking important. I had to swear. I'm sorry, Mum. I just had to. I don't know if you guys are getting the importance of this.
We haven't sworn on these podcasts
well,
before.
Mum hasn't heard those ones, but she might hear this one. So I think, Jack, you know, you've got to be very specific in who you choose. And every brand's different. Some brands are super inclusive. You know, they want to shoot all genders, all size, shapes, colors, everything.
Yep.
Right. A brand that I did in the past, Push Pull, that was our strategy. We wanted to showcase the whole community. And I think there is a time and a place for that. Then there's brands that are a lot more niche, maybe like a Scanlan and Theodore, like high-end women's fashion or something. Random example, but we did meet the owner in Vietnam. Went to the factory.
We did.
I don't know if we should say that on air, but fuck it. That's what that is.
It's a cheeky little plug.
Yeah, it is. You know, we're eclectic out here. We're going to the female fashion.
So basically what you're saying, Jess, is that the models that you pick very much comes down to what you're trying to achieve in your branding and what you want your brand to stand for, I suppose.
Absolutely. Like, especially in public too. And if you want certain people to buy your products in public, it starts with the models, right? And people buy from people at the end of the day, you know, probably more so than the actual product. I think I know Cortez has gone on record for saying you've got to build the brand narrative like far beyond the garments. If you get fixated on a t-shirt with a certain logo, this is what a lot of young brands do. They think it's all about what's printed on the t-shirt. If it's cool enough, it'll sell. The thing that makes a brand cool is their marketing, the models, who's wearing it.
Yep.
All those things are, I think, actually more important. It is a great debate though, and maybe that's another podcast episode. What is more important, the design or the aesthetics?
Yep.
One day we will go into that, but you know where I stand. It's the aesthetics.
Yep. And so finding models is hard, essentially. Like, we know that. Anyone that runs a brand would know that. And so there's a couple problems when it comes to models. One is probably the cost. You know, if you want to get maybe good models or sought after models, you probably have to go through an agency, because a lot of them are signed up to agencies, which is expensive, especially for a small business. You pretty much just write that off the card straight away if you're a small business.
We're talking thousands of dollars, you know.
Yeah.
And even like I've never sent garments to anyone to post and paid them, but I've heard on the grapevine, you know, I have my ears to the wall, and people paying 5, 10, 20 grand for a post these days from these influencers. I think the problem as well, Jack, is like brand loyalty. You don't want to just send a product to someone that doesn't give a shit about your brand. You want buy-in from the person. You want to grow with them. Yeah.
And maybe someone that's shooting 10 other brands that week as well. So you're going to see them across multiple campaigns. So there's something to be said for finding someone who maybe isn't as quite high profile, or just a friend, or someone that, you know, their face isn't around quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean, the greatest brands pick models that aren't really used elsewhere. You know, they have that aesthetic, and when you see that model, you think of that brand. You don't go, oh, that's the guy that shot for Ralph Lauren or something. You want to have it very specific.
Yep.
The other part, Jack, is it's pretty awkward to reach out to people.
Yeah. Finding models, you know, is awkward. They're probably coming from outside your friendship circles. The further in you get, you know, the more people you need to find. So, yeah, it's awkward. Like, it's a weird interaction. I'm sure there's been some pretty fucking hilarious shoots go down with people, you know, just meeting for the first time, and so yeah, it's that's also probably a barrier, I suppose, in terms of finding models, but. I guess we have been in the game for a while. We have a couple of solutions to those problems, things that work for us. So maybe let's jump into those.
Definitely. I think the simplest thing and the cheapest thing is search really far and wide on social media. I've done some far and wide searches. Like, my favorite one is go onto a nightclub's Instagram and just look through all the photos. Pray that the people are tagged in the photos that you think look good, and go. I've done it. I'm not making this shit up. The other thing, so Jack and I recently, in fact, just on Tuesday night, we were looking for a model that we wanted to shoot at Colour Plane over a long period of time, maybe like once a month. We wanted to almost like lock them in for a long period, and we knew the importance of that. We wanted to catch up with them and get to know the person. I think there's a lot to be said for that. You put a lot of eggs into the basket. You need the person to be trustworthy, not pull out on shoots, etc. So we're in the process of doing that. So don't be afraid to spend time with the person. Go get a coffee and meet them. It is pretty awkward. I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, especially you're probably a young brand. You don't have a lot of runs on the board, but these things really make a difference.
Yeah, it's important to find someone that aligns with your brand, and catching up face to face in person, putting that real time in. There's no substitute for that. So definitely invest in, you know, in your model as more of a business relationship.
And I think the mixture of models that we like to run with and implement is we try to shoot some people in real life and create a real life connection, because that's the greatest connection there is. With that said, living in humbled old Melbourne, Australia, there isn't a shitload of people that are into streetwear as opposed to London, New York. So it is important to seed out interstate and internationally.
Yep.
Got to send those products out.
Yeah, something that we're going to invest in quite a bit moving forward, Jess, especially looking overseas too. I mean, yeah, social media has just opened it all up for models and getting your garments in other people's hands all around the world. So definitely use that. And you know, it's oftentimes just you send a garment and there isn't really much payment required. They'll be just happy enough to receive the garment. So don't be too scared from a cost perspective. Is, as Jesse mentioned earlier, only really those very top tier models will expect payment. Otherwise, a couple free garments probably do the trick.
Yeah, be transparent. You know, if you're sending something overseas, I think it's really wise to tell the person, you're from Australia, this has cost me hundreds of dollars just to ship. And I think a good human being receiving that package will be like, holy shit, the shipping alone was $200. The least I could do is maybe get a photo up. But on the flip side of that, don't be pushy. Don't give people hard deadlines. I never do. I think it's a bit, people got a lot going on in their life, and if you're just going to be pushy and not pay them as well, it's a bit of an ugly, I think, well, you know what actually does happen is you get the person reluctantly taking a photo that you probably won't end up posting anyway.
It probably doesn't feel real or authentic to them, yeah.
Correct. And that's the most important thing, because what we're looking for here is people that want to shoot again with your brand, and that will make your brand stronger the more people that buy in. So do that.
I got one more thing to add.
Please.
I wanted to add a little, I suppose, good practice with working with models is, because you are using them, you know, probably for a few hours here and there, you want to do your work early and really, really prepare so that when you do have a model come in and you are paying them a pretty high hourly rate, that you get as much done as possible. So sending them a brief, making sure they know what the shoot's going to look like, where it's located, the types of fits they might wear, sizing, if you want them to bring shoes, what their closet looks like, what they can bring with them. That stuff's really important and something that a model is really going to respect as well. I'm sure there's a lot of models that go to some shoots and it's just a fucking shit show. So don't be one of those brands and do it the right way.
We might have been one of those brands, but we're improving. Guys, learn from us. Thanks for listening.